Picture this. You walk into a restaurant with a friend. They glance around for 2 seconds and say, "Anywhere is fine." But you're already scanning. Not the menu, not the decor, the room. You need to know where the exits are. You need to see who's coming through that door. And you will not, under any circumstances, sit with your back exposed to a room full of strangers. Sound familiar? Most people would look at that behavior and call it paranoia. Or maybe just a quirky habit. But here's the thing. Your brain isn't being dramatic. It's being ancient. And today, we're going to unpack exactly what's happening inside the mind of someone who always needs that wall at their back, because it goes so much deeper than just preferring a good view of the room. Let's start at the beginning. The very beginning, actually. Think back thousands of years. Your ancestors didn't have the luxury of sitting carefree in the middle of an open field. Survival meant constant awareness. It meant knowing where threats could come from. And one of the smartest things a human being could do was position themselves so that nothing could sneak up from behind. That's called having a defensive position, and your nervous system hasn't forgotten it. Not even a little bit. This is what psychologists and evolutionary researchers refer to as hypervigilance, a state of heightened sensory sensitivity where your brain is constantly scanning the environment for potential danger. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Hypervigilance isn't always the result of something traumatic. Sometimes it's simply a personality trait. Some people are naturally wired with a more active threat detection system. Their amygdala, that little almond-shaped part of the brain responsible for processing fear and alertness, fires a bit more readily than others. It's not a flaw. It's a feature. An ancient, deeply human feature. But let's be honest. For many people who gravitate toward that wall seat, there's often something deeper at play. Trauma has a way of quietly rewriting your nervous system. If you've been through experiences where you felt blindsided, betrayed, or unsafe, your brain learns a very logical lesson. Don't get caught off guard again. So you stop sitting with your back to rooms. You stop letting people stand behind you. You start reading exits the way other people read menus. It becomes automatic, almost invisible to yourself, until someone points it out and you realize, oh, I always do that. There's a term in psychology called situational awareness, and while it's often associated with military training or law enforcement, it lives quietly inside a lot of ordinary people. These are the people who notice when someone new walks into a room, who clock the tension in a conversation before anyone else does, who feel genuinely uncomfortable, almost itchy, when they can't see what's behind them. This isn't about being fearful. It's about feeling in control. And control, for these individuals, is the foundation of feeling safe. Here's a beautiful paradox worth sitting with. The people who most need to feel safe are often the ones who have had that safety disrupted the most. And the wall? The wall becomes a metaphor as much as a physical object. It represents certainty, solidity, the one thing that will not surprise you. When the world has felt unpredictable, you find your anchors wherever you can, and sometimes that anchor is simply a solid surface at your back. Now, you might be wondering, is this something to be concerned about? Does always needing that seat mean something is wrong? Not necessarily. Context is everything. If this is one small preference in an otherwise grounded, flexible life, it's simply a quirk of your personality's architecture. But if the need for that position creates anxiety when it isn't available, if you feel genuine distress in crowded spaces, if you find yourself avoiding situations because you can't control your seating, then that's worth paying attention to. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. Because here's what's fascinating. Awareness is the first door out of any unconscious pattern. The moment you understand why your brain does something, you stop being a passenger to it. You become the driver. That shift from reacting to reflecting is one of the most powerful things psychology offers us. There's also something worth saying about the people in this world who operate this way. They tend to be deeply perceptive. They pick up on social dynamics with uncanny accuracy. They're rarely blindsided in relationships or situations because they've been quietly paying attention to everything all along. The same mechanism that plants them firmly against the wall in a restaurant also makes them remarkably good at reading people, navigating complexity, and protecting those they love. So the next time someone calls you paranoid for choosing the corner seat, smile. Your brain is running software that kept your ancestors alive for millennia. You're not broken. You're not anxious, necessarily. You're simply someone who understands, on a cellular level, the value of seeing things coming. And honestly, in a world full of people sleepwalking through their environments, there's something quietly powerful about being the one who always knows exactly what's in a room. The wall isn't a limitation. It's your foundation.